Hello and happy holidays. I am Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Literary Love 123, where I combine my master's in English with my passion for the horror genre to talk about the books that I read. Today's video is a tag video. This is the Christmas Tree Minor Crisis book tag. So after this quick intro, I'll be right back and we'll get right to the tag. The Christmas Tree Minor Crisis book tag is an original tag created by Nigel at Reading Ideas, and I was tagged by Pat at Book Chat with Pat and Stuart at Stuart Griffin, and I will link all of their channels down in the description box below. Let's talk about the prompts. So there are 9 prompts in the Christmas Tree Minor Crisis book tag. Prompt number 1, Pine Needles on the Floor, a book about nature striking back. So for this book, I chose Daphne du Maurier's short story. Let me get that ring light out of the way. The Birds, and you can find it in this Classics of the Macabre collection. So if you're familiar with the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds, which is great too, then I really, though, recommend anyway that you read Daphne du Maurier's story that the film is based on. First of all, Daphne du Maurier, because she is British, she sets the story on the coast of Cornwall. So it's a different setting. And it's just a really excellent short story. It won't take long to read. But yeah, nature strikes back. The birds, they're not having any more of it. They have come to take back their planet. So the next prompt, prompt number 2, Shards of Christmas Tree Balls to pick up. This is a book that has like shatters, falls apart, gets stabbed. So for this prompt, I picked my current read, American Rapture by C.J. Lead, because the world is shattering or falling apart. There is a virus that kind of starts off like the flu, but in its latter stages, and the stages progress rapidly, it fills you with rageful lust. So it's a nightmare landscape in this story. Then you have prompt number 3, Ornament catches the eye. Minor character steals the show. So for this one, I picked 2 characters. I picked Bertha Mason from Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre and Lucy Westenra from Bram Stoker's Dracula. So I want to talk about also another author and her book in just a minute too. But when I read Dracula and when I read Jane Eyre, I was more intrigued by Lucy in Dracula than I was with Mina. And I was more intrigued by Bertha than I was with Jane. And these women characters are considered kind of like the bad girls of those novels. Lucy, because she has 3 men who are interested in marrying her, and she makes a statement at one point about, why can't I marry all 3? Even though she probably means it more like she cares for all of them. But you can also kind of read it as she wants to do what she wants to do, right? Why should she have to pick and fit into that time period and what was expected of women in society? So I love Lucy. And Bertha and Jane Eyre, the infamous or famous, depending on how you want to look at it, Mad Woman in the Attic. If you look at her story and why Rochester chose to marry her and why he locks her in the attic, she doesn't want to fit into his standards of society. And there's a lot to go deeper with than Bertha than just she's a mad woman in the attic. But that's a whole topic for another day. But I always felt that Bertha did not get the justice that she deserved. And Gwendolyn Keist, one of my favorite authors, she must have felt the same. Well, she didn't must have. She did. She felt the same about Lucy and Bertha. And she rewrote their stories for Reluctant Immortals, where she gives them more agency and they are empowered. This is set in 1960s San Francisco and at the height of, the free love and that kind of culture, right? And you get to find out maybe a different story, a different ending for Bertha and Lucy. And because I was already intrigued by their stories, and because I freaking loved this imagining that Gwendolyn Keist did, I actually ended up writing one of my British Lit seminar papers in grad school on Bertha and Lucy. So, all of that to say, they definitely stole the show for me. Prompt number 4, lights tangled and a couple out. A mystery, a tangled story with twists and turns. So, for this prompt, I picked Mark Z. Danielewski's House of Leaves. I just finished reading this book in November. I'm going to be doing a live show discussion of this book with Mark from the Book Thing on Sunday, December 15th. It's 2 o'clock p.m. Central Time, which is my time. And then it is 8 o'clock p.m. GMT, which is Mark's time. So I'm going to link Mark's channel down below, and I'll also link our live show link so that you can watch it this coming Sunday. But this book literally has twists and turns in the book itself. So you can see this is written up in the corner. Down here, this is upside down. So you have to turn the book around. There's a lot of weird things like that in this book. I'm trying to find another page. There's so many, like you may have just this much writing on pages. So not only is the novel actually like physically constructed with all of the twists and turns, but the story is too. On the surface, the story is about a house that is larger on the inside than it is on the outside, and the inner dimensions of the house keep changing. But it's also about a documentary and a manuscript written about that documentary, and someone who uncovers that manuscript and writes his thoughts about the manuscript that someone wrote their thoughts about the documentary in. So yeah, it's wild. Definitely one with twists and turns unlike anything else I've ever read. And prompt number 5, candle catches tree on fire. Fire burns the place down or is important to the story. I can't believe I forgot to bring the book I wanted to show for this. So I'm actually going to be right back. Okay, book acquired, minor crisis averted. The book that I want to talk about for prompt number 5, candle catches tree on fire. Fire burns the place down or is important to the story. Carrie by Stephen King. This is a special 50th anniversary edition of Carrie. And Carrie sets the prom on fire in the book. Carrie sets the entire town on fire. So good for her. The next one is a prop number 6. Sweets and chocolates, a sickly sweet story you can't resist or that you dislike, or a story with sweets and chocolate in it. And for this one, I kind of took an easy way out and I picked Charlie and the Chocolate Factory by Roald Dahl, because you have a kid who wins a once in a lifetime trip to a candy factory and chaos ensues. And there's chocolate and there's plenty of sweets, and some disturbing things happen to some naughty kids. Gotta love it. All right, prompt number 7, fallen angel, a fallen or flawed hero. Another good for her book, They Never Learn by Lane Fargo. Now, in this book, our hero takes out men who are men who have SA'd women, men who are just not really deserving to be walking around, living, breathing. So some may call her flawed. I call her fabulous. And I love this book. If you haven't read They Never Learn by Lane Fargo, you need to get on that one. All right. Prompt number 8, the perfect Christmas book, nostalgia, connection with past and present. So for this one, I'm going to choose another book that I just read last week or the week before that, sometime recently. What is time? And that is Christmas at Willdale Inn by Gemma Amore. She's another one of my favorite authors. So Christmas at Willdale Inn is set during Victorian times, even though it's written, contemporary. And you have a couple. The husband is very abusive, and he and his wife are traveling by carriage, and a storm ensues, and the carriage, crashes, and the horses and the driver are lost. And they encounter this inn, this Willdale Inn out in the middle of nowhere, and they spend some time there. And perhaps, I don't know, you have to read it and find out, perhaps this abusive husband gets what's coming to him. So that could be another good for her. All right. I feel like this has been chaotic, but since it's a minor crisis book tag, I guess that fits the mood, right? And so prompt number 9 is to tag some others. And I am going to just tag anyone watching this who's interested in it instead of tagging specific people for this particular video. It's a great tag. I want to once again shout out Nigel at Reading Ideas for creating the tag, and Pat at Book Chat with Pat, and Stuart at Stuart Griffin for tagging me. Until next time, try to avoid those crises if you can. And if you can't, just go with it. See y'all in the next video. Bye.